All right, Rick, it's playoff time. It's time to talk about the playoffs. 4 questions. We did this in the preseason. We answered a couple questions before we got the season. We're to the second season, so let's do the same thing. First question is the first question we asked of the season. First question we'll ask now. Lake Travis, did they make it 6 in a row?
Well, I would like to say yes. That the local team would be a great story. The short answer is no. And it's not because I don't like them. I just think they're a little bit too banged up. Plus, they're in Division II. Division II in 5A has #1 Katy right there in Division II. They have the #3 team, the #5 team, the #10 team in this week's AP Top 10. So even though they're Division II, it's a very tough road. And I just can't see them just beating everybody up on like that.
I'm gonna go against you. I'm gonna say yes. There's no rhyme or reason for it, but Lake Travis, I bet against them plenty of times in the past. They've always proved me wrong. Baker Mayfield, I mean, 2 weeks ago against Westlake is a key example why you don't bet against a kid like that. That game was all but lost for him, and he found a way to win it. And if they can get Sean Nixon back and maybe get a few of those offensive linemen healthy, their defense is good enough to play with some of those teams. And that is a very stacked region or bracket, like you mentioned. But a lot of those teams are going to be knocking off each other. So Lake Travis might only have to win a couple of those games, and I think Baker finds a way to get it done. Speaking of state championships, you don't think Lake Travis is going to win one, but who do you think is going to win a championship from the Austin area?
If I had to pick just one, I'm going to pick Cedar Park. We had them very high in the preseason. They stumbled out of the blocks, but they've come on strong. They've won, what, 8 in a row?
That's right.
And they're in the Division II of Class 4A. I looked at the top 10. There are only 2 other teams in the top 10 in the Division II. So over the local schools, I think they've got the easiest road. And they just happen to be playing the best at the end of the year. So I'm going to hand it to Cedar Park.
I think the Cedar Park call is a very good one. I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed if the Timberwolves don't bring home the championship, including a lot of people on that campus. But I'm going to go with the other division, Division I, and I think a lot of people are expecting Leander to do some stuff. I'm actually going to go with Georgetown. I like the way Georgetown's playing. They're pretty much, right now, they're a 5A team, a good 5A team playing at a 4A level with the numbers that they have. They're going to lose a lot of seniors this year, so it's pretty much make or break for them now. Jake Hubenek, really good quarterback. That defense has been great all season, and I think they make a run in Region 3 and shock a couple teams once they get to the state championship game. I know a lot of people just watch that and they're like, hey, St. Michael's, they're 10-0. Why didn't you talk about them? But I think you think they're flying under the radar, right?
Now, if I had to pick one team flying under the radar, it is St. Michael's. And how do you explain a team going 10-0 but not getting a lot of publicity? Of course, they're in TAPS. We don't cover TAPS like we do the UIL. They're smaller schools, they're private. But I wouldn't be surprised if they bring it home. I mean, 10-0, and almost none of their games are even close. Well-coached team. I like them.
Yeah, good running back in Scotland Butler. Kyle Wurzel is a really good offensive lineman, and that defense has they've given up some points, but they've also been very stout at times too. So if they can get the offense and defense both playing great, watch out for St. Michael's. My under the radar team is actually Manor, 7-3 in a pretty good district. Beat Connolly last week. I picked it last week, but I don't think a lot of people did. Tyrone Owens, you just gave him a game ball. He's been playing great this past month, and I'm not saying they win a state championship, but I think they win a couple games in the playoffs and shock some people. Lots of games this week. If you're going to pick one to watch, what's your best by-district playoff game?
My best one would be Westlake Hendrickson. We didn't pick Hendrickson to win district this year, but they did. They looked impressive. Samaje Perrine, best running back in town. Westlake, they've got something to prove, because every time they don't do well in the playoffs, they're looking for a new coach. At least the fans are. But and they got a good coach already, Darren Allman. So I'm going to say that's the game of the week.
Same districts, different division. Bowie, Round Rock's my game. Last 4 games between these two teams, they've been decided by 8 points or less, including earlier this year. Bowie won a 20-19 game over Round Rock. So expect a close game. Both teams have been playing all right this season. I expect it to be a lot of fun over at Burger Stadium on Friday night. But yeah, that's our playoff preview. We'll be back next week to talk about the area playoffs, and enjoy your weekend.